Hello, hello! Welcome, pen friends. This is day 25 of Ink Journals Challenge, 30 inks, 30 days. And I am writing today with Diamine Blue Pearl. I'm going to show it to you here and on the other thing too, because it looks a little different depending on which paper. This sample is from pen friend Banu, and thank you very much. This is a beautiful ink that I actually didn't really know about. On here, on the watercolor paper, you could see those sparkles. It's really sparkly. And it doesn't take a lot of agitating either. This ink just seems to be, very little settles at the bottom, but there's a lot of shimmer in there, it seems like. So here it is, and we'll get into the comparisons in just a few minutes. But I'd like to go ahead and start with the water test part, so we'll do that. Here it is on the Rhodia dot pad, and we'll let it simmer. Ooh, look at the pretty color coming out. That's pretty. We'll let that happen, and we'll push that aside. And then this is from yesterday. Robert Oster Fire and Ice did disappear. That's pretty much what I expected. If you really look, I'm not sure if you can see, there's traces, but I sure wouldn't want to have to decipher what was written there. I can barely see it, so that's typical and normal and to be expected. So let me just say that after I did my sample writing, I did change the nib in my Serendipity. I went ahead and changed over to the Goulet 1.5 millimeter stub because I'm going to be writing a couple letters. I've got to catch up. I've got new letters to write, and I've got, anyway, quite a bit of writing. So I thought that would motivate me, and I played around a little with that, and I'll show you the samples. And then I found this, that this crystal just really picks up on the essence here. This is silver shimmer, but this still just reminds me, this is lapis lazuli, or I'm not sure if I'm saying it right, but I'm a little out of order today, but let's just, we'll see if we can get on down the road here. So here we are. We've got only 5 days left now, and this chart is just really almost hard to get into the viewfinder here, but here's today, way over in the left-hand corner, and it is real shimmery. I'm thinking I could get it the window light to show on it. So let's go on over. Let's see. Oh, and I got lots more little things that I have on my wish list. My wish list is full, but I still have this side I could lap over onto, I guess. And here we are. So this is really shimmery, and I'm hoping I can show you at least some of that if I do enough gymnastics here. It writes real smoothly though, and I had no trouble. Of course, I was in the broad nib to start with, and that's how I've done all the testing so far, except for when I had trouble there with the permanent ink. Oh, that really, if you hit it just right, it just really shimmers up there. But it's nice and smooth, and I imagine it's going to be even nicer in that stub nib. It'll let out a lot more ink. So it's available at Goulet Pens for $20 for a 50 milliliter bottle. And you can get a sample for $1.75, which I highly recommend. Although today it seems like it looks a lot truer to what the color, what I'm seeing with my eye and what I'm seeing in the viewfinder of the camera. So let's just go on through and see how it did on the other places. This is the Cafe Note journal from Nanami Paper Company, and it's Tomoe River paper, and I was thrilled with how it looked in here. I can actually see quite a bit of shading in here. I'm not sure if that part will really show through to you, but it just really wrote on here nicely. And as far as I could tell, there was no, you always have that heavy shadowing with this thin paper, but as far as bleed through, there's just nothing that would bother me at all. Nothing, it's well behaved. So that went really good. And there we are. And I got a lot more reading to do today, and I'm studying, and postponed one of my appointments because after the funeral and after everything, I'm just exhausted, wanting to really get my mind straight here. So here we are on the envelopes. This is the Clairefontaine, and it came off real pretty there. Can't always catch the shimmer in this lighting here, but I see it. and it's real good. And then over here on the cheaper amp pad one, it's the same song. You know, it definitely feathers, and it isn't meant for that. It's still kind of interesting to see, though, to kind of compare them anyway. So you see quite a bit of feathering. You see how much wider the width of the lettering is. And then there were just no troubles on any of these other papers. It looks gorgeous on the Leuchtturm paper. I see shading, and if I hold it right to the light, I see the shimmer. And I'm not sure I could do that for you because it seems so small. I can't. Just a little, I guess you could see, but no bleed through. No problems there. And then on the, this is Clairefontaine Spiral Notebook, an A5 size. And whoops, I got a little bit of shadows there, but it looks really nice. And I see shading, which is one of, as you know, that's like my favorite attribute of ink is shading. And this is the CVS caliber paper, filler paper, and it looks really good on there too. No feathering at all, and it's amazing. So that's a good option for lots of writing. And then this is the Office Depot College Ruled Notebook, the cheaper one. And I actually felt like this did better. There's no bleed, and there's no significant problem with feathering on here either with that broad nib. So I didn't switch over till the end, and I'll show you what I did write with the 1.5, but this is all with the broad nib. And this is Rhodia, I guess I didn't write it up there. This is the Rhodia dot pad, and it was great on there, of course, to be expected. It looked real good. So let me just pull out what I did write once I did change over to the I had a brain freeze because I can't remember if I showed you what yesterday's ink did, but I think I did. Oh boy. So this is how it looked when I put it in the I just switched. I got a little inky, but I switched over to the 1.5 so that the rest of the day I'll be writing the letters and stuff. And I like it. At first I was real rusty. I haven't written with that nib for a while. So then by the time I got maybe down here, I started to feel like, oh yeah, I can hold it at a certain angle, and my writing, it's not bad at all. It's awfully hard to see that shimmer, but it's there. I could see it. Even with that pen where, you know, I have to agitate the ink and put it in there, and then once it's in there, it's soaked into the feed and everything, and that tiny reservoir. So it may be a little different. It may distribute your shimmer better in some of your pens where you can agitate the converter, if that makes sense, or the piston. So, but I did read on Goulet Pen's website that they do recommend a broad nib or thicker. In other words, like, or broader stubs are recommended for this. But I liked how it looked with this, and it really reminded me of the Diamine Oxford Blue, which was one of the very first bottles of ink I ever bought. And I still love that ink. I don't write with it as much as I should. So, but that was really nice. So now we can get into the comparisons here. I've got two different ones. I've got a large one, and then this one that we already glimpsed at. This is really going, isn't it? Yeah, it's pretty much going to be gone. There may be just a little bit underneath there. But as far as my inks, I was drawn to these two to compare it to because they're the deeper blue. But you could see that this has a Diamine Skull and Roses has the red sheen, and can't really compare that because here we have the silver shimmers. So really, it got down to Diamine Oxford Blue, which is one of my favorites. So no wonder I like this, because the underlying color just seems very similar. You can't, in my collection, I couldn't find anything much closer, but we'll look at this larger. Okay, so this larger panel, and now we just have to kind of ignore these two and just focus on this one. You know, it does compare somewhat to Majestic Blue. And definitely Skull and Roses, which we just looked at. But see, I don't go for really dark inks too often, and Bunga Box Hat Sukhoi is brighter and lighter, you know, but it's similar in some ways, so I really couldn't give you a whole lot of help with comparisons here, because of this is what I have in my ink sample collection. So maybe you have some, though, if you are familiar with these other colors, that may help you just to compare. And like Kirschner Moonview has its own, it has all that red sheen also, and it has a much brighter underlying color. You know, what this has been doing, it makes me interested in that, what they call chromatography, or whatever it's called, where they have the little thin papers. I know zero about it, except that I've seen it on other people's videos, but now I'm starting to be interested in that, because I think that might tell us more, like what comes out on that test, whatever that is. So I'm going to do some research and find out what the heck that's all about. So this is good, because anytime I can learn what I don't know and then learn some more, it's always fun. So I'm going to enjoy writing with this I think with this stub nib. I love the nib. I've used it with Diamine Florida Blue a lot, and when I use it regularly, then my handwriting is okay. You know, doesn't look too awful, but it's something to get used to. So, okay, so tomorrow the ink is Kirschner Black Rose, which was out of an ink flight in July of this year. I love this ink, and I just went to inspect it because I knew I'd written some letters with it, and I thought, oh my goodness, I hope I didn't pick another one where I'm not going to have enough in there. But there's plenty. There's at least 1.5 milliliters, which is plenty enough. And so I look forward to that too. But the rest of today is going to be pleasant writing with this Diamine. Diamine, wow, that was a slip. A Blue Pearl. I love it. So that's it for today, and thank you for being here. I will see you tomorrow. Gosh, when a countdown goes down below 10, which now we're down below 5, because we got, we got 5 days left, so woo, you're almost there. It's like when you're waiting for a trip or something. I get really excited once I see 10, 9, 8, and then when it goes below 5, forget it. You're almost done. So all right, I'll see you tomorrow, and I'll give you a report on this ink. Bye for now.